I've said this is I think the game of like, hey, buy a house because buy a house to get rich. I think it's over. I think that's over. Um, Buy a house because you like it. It's in a good school system. It's a place to raise a family. It's safe. It's whatever. You like the location, but I don't particularly when we overlay sort of the demonetization of housing of that Bitcoin is doing, right? Which is younger generation. I've been advocating to my sons. They all own some Bitcoin. Been advocating it for 5 years. Buy some Bitcoin. Buy some Bitcoin. Buy some Bitcoin. That Coinbase ad that was on TV, it was a 30-second ad during an NBA game back in May, was mind-boggling. Same house that was 1,000 Bitcoin in 2016 was 10 Bitcoin in 2020, and now it's 2 Bitcoin. And that house is going to 1 Bitcoin in the next 5 years. And 5 years after that, it's going to be half a Bitcoin. And 5 years after that, it's going to be a tenth of a Bitcoin. And that's my base case.
Welcome back to the channel. Aaron here from the Bitcoin Bros. And in today's video, we're going to be getting into strategy and some Bitcoin updates. And you just saw in that clip, that was author Luke Groman explaining how Bitcoin is going to be demonetizing real estate in the future. And definitely agree with him. We think that is definitely going to continue to happen in the future. And as you guys can see in this chart here, we are now in November. Happy November 1st. Hopefully November is better than October for BTC. This October, actually, we were negative, down 4%. This is the first time post-halving year where we've seen October come in at a negative month. We've got our first red month post-halving year. This may just be showing you that this cycle is a little bit different than cycles in the past. Because historically, we can see during the 4-year cycle, we've gotten a 60% green month for October back in 2013. In 2017, we got 47%. In 2021, we got 40%. And this is the first time that we've gotten a red month. So we have been talking about this cycle potentially going longer. So this could be playing out right now. We're seeing a bit of a change in what we've seen historically for Bitcoin in the 4-year cycles. And people are very frustrated with the Bitcoin price this year. And I think it's really interesting because it's like we're getting the same vibes as 2022, where Bitcoin went from around 67,000 all the way down to 20K. A lot of people were giving up on Bitcoin. A lot of people were not really interested in buying into Bitcoin when it was down at 20K. But now that we're still up on the year, we're still outperforming the S&P, and Bitcoin has gone from 20K up to 120, back down to 110. Nobody wants to touch Bitcoin. There's a lot of negative sentiment in the market, and people are actually selling out of their Bitcoin and kind of giving up on the future of where they believe Bitcoin is going, which is really interesting. But we are now in November, which is normally a green month. So we'll see if we get another green month like historically we normally have had. And before we get into strategy, make sure to check out iTrustCapital here. They're giving you guys an exclusive offer of $100 just for signing up with a $100 funding bonus here. And they have 2 products. They have their IRA and their PCA account. The PCA account is newer. This came out earlier this year. And basically what this is institutional custody for your Bitcoin, crypto, or gold. And you can hold it through iTrustCapital, their PCA account, and it gives you the same type of holding that MicroStrategy does, that BlackRock does with the institutional custody. And it's really safe, really secure. They're changing how security is in the crypto land space. What we've seen with other exchanges in the past, people have gotten their accounts drained. They've lost all their funds in their wallet. But now with this PCA custody account through iTrustCapital, that's impossible to happen. You can't really get your account drained, and because of how they set up the security. It's really interesting. You guys should sign up, open an account. They're giving you guys $100 to do it, so make sure to check it out. And also they have the traditional Roth and SEP accounts. If you're looking to do any retirement accounts, you can hold spot Bitcoin in these accounts, guys, if you're interested in doing that. So make sure to check out iTrustCapital. The link will be in the comment section below and also the description below. Let's go ahead and get back into the video here. So looking at strategy, we closed the week at 270, had a pretty green Friday, up around 6% there. We got the earnings call You guys saw some of the clips that we share with you from the earnings call on our channel. And we've seen this compression of MNAV. It's something we have continued to see. Right now, the market cap is 77 billion, but they still have $70 billion of Bitcoin net asset value. And in my personal opinion, what I think a lot of people are missing with the compression of this MNAV is that we're in a period of time where many people in the crypto space, many people in the Bitcoin space believe the 4-year cycle is going to play out the same exact way that it has played out in the past, which means that maybe we peaked in October, maybe we're going to peak in November or December. That's what most people are saying about Bitcoin right now. So if you're looking at future expectations where Bitcoin will be a year from now, it's probably going to be trading lower. And I think that plays into the MNAV discount a little bit because a lot of people are expecting Bitcoin to be lower next year. So the market cap of the company, which is forward looking where Bitcoin is going to be in the future, is looking like Bitcoin could be lower. So it's trading at a bit of a discount. I think people aren't really putting that into the MNAV calculation, but I think that is something that needs to be taken into consideration. And also I want to talk just quickly about STRC here. Right now, I mentioned this briefly on our past video, it has gotten above that $99 price point. So they want to keep STRC between $99 and $101, and they want to tap the ATM within those levels. And what's really interesting about STRC is we just had probably one of the biggest days of trading volume that I have seen yet for STRC at around $144 million. And now we're above that $99 price point. So next week, hopefully if it stays above $99, we're going to have the first full week where strategy could potentially be tapping the ATM for STRC. So after next week, it could be the first full week where they actually tap the STRC ATM, and we'll be able to see what was the trading volume and how much Bitcoin did they buy over the past week through STRC. And it's going to be really interesting to see what that number will be. And then also here, looking at the Bitcoin-backed credit volume from strategy, as you can see here, it has been going up and up and up to the right. So there's more and more volume for these products, and people are starting to understand what these products are. They're starting to buy more and more into these products. And I think this is a trend we're going to continue to see, especially for years to come, as these products get better ratings, as people start to understand more about what they do, and as the credibility just comes along, as STRC shows year after year after year, it pays a 10% dividend, and it stays pretty stagnant to that $99 to $101 price point. People will grow confidence around these products, and there will be more capital that flows into them. That is what I'm thinking. But also, what is really interesting around all this is as the Federal Reserve is lowering interest rates, and we're going to be seeing bond yields go down, and those yields go down, but these preferred yields stay the same. So your high yield savings account, instead of paying right now, I think they're paying around 4 to 5%. But if the Fed continues to lower interest rates, and we get down to an environment where high yield savings accounts are paying 1 to 2%, people are going to be looking more and more at some of these products like STRC that are paying 10%. And right now, these products are just in the United States. They're looking to expand into Canada and Europe next. So this is all very, very new, but it's good to see that these products are early on are continuing to grow up and to the right. So I think next week's going to be exciting to see for STRC, as it may be the first week where you actually see the STRC ATM used by strategy. And then to get into some of the traditional news here. So for the second time in history, the US government has officially been shut down for 30 plus days. In 6 days, 2025 will mark the longest shutdown in US history. So eventually, I think most people know that the government is going to open back up. Right now with the Democrats and the Republicans, they're kind of just going back and forth, trying to get one another to give into whatever they're trying to get within the Congress and get things passed. And eventually, one of these parties is going to have to give in and the government will open back up. And I think it's really interesting looking at it from an investment standpoint is the government shut down, so they're not spending as much money. There's not as much liquidity. People that work for the government right now are not even getting paid. So when you think about it, once the government opens back up, you would think that would be a good catalyst for the market. The market would probably be relieved and it'll probably go up. But my thoughts here are, if the government opens back up and we get that jobs data that we've been waiting on, the data from September that we didn't get early October, and the October data that we're supposed to get a couple of days in November here, if we get that jobs data and it comes out bad, that could cause some shock into the market. If unemployment is looking like it's starting to tick up in a fast manner, that could definitely spook the market. The market could definitely sell off if we get bad jobs numbers. So we're just kind of waiting around to see when the government will open back up. But right now, this has been one of the longest U.S. government shutdowns in history. But I think most people know that the government is going to open back up eventually. It's going to probably take a couple more weeks if I had to guess, but we'll see how long it takes. And then to get into some of the Bitcoin miners, you can see here BitDeer. For the week, they output 121 Bitcoin, but out of that 121 Bitcoin output, they are holding 53 BTC. This is something we have continued to see with the miners. They are not selling all the Bitcoin that they get. They're holding a lot of it for long-term holdings. And you can see here with Riot platforms, they're doing the same thing. They mined 1,406 BTC in Q3, boosting their holdings to 19,287 Bitcoin. So they're continuing to hodl BTC. And then you have Stake and Shake here. They just announced their strategic Bitcoin reserve. And basically what they're doing is if you go to Stake and Shake and you buy a meal with Bitcoin, they're going to place that in their strategic Bitcoin reserve. So that is really cool to see from Stake and Shake there. And then to get into the Bitcoin ETFs, this is something I've showed you guys over the past 3 days. We've seen some pretty major outflows, over $1 billion from the Bitcoin ETFs. And this is something you guys have to watch, because if this continues and next week we continue to see outflows, Bitcoin's price will trade down. I mean, you can look at this chart right here. This is the total Bitcoin spot ETF net inflows and outflows since the ETFs have launched. And you can see a trend here. When the Bitcoin ETFs are green, you can see Bitcoin's price is going up. And then when we start to see red and green, it's either trading sideways or going down. So you can see there was some red here and it's trading sideways, got some green, started to trade back up. And we saw that earlier in the year where Bitcoin was getting a lot of inflow and the price was going up and up and up. We've seen that from time and time again, even back here in late January, started to get outflows. Bitcoin's price went down. So we have to wait and see what November is going to look like. We could get inflows, but if we get outflows, the price is probably going to continue to trade down. The ETF flows have been highly correlated to where Bitcoin price is heading next. So that's all I have for this video. I hope you found some value. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more. We have new content coming out every single day. My name is Aaron from Bitcoin Bros. I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.